Okay, so I'm going to start from the very beginning. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the server, the Django server. I've got a lot of screen real estate, so I'll leave it split. You should be able to see everything still. Here, let me zoom in on this though. Okay, so here's my splash screen. So my project is called Watering Holes, and the idea was basically like a way to find local, well, watering holes, so breweries and pubs and things like that. So let's just, I've got the rubric over here, but I'm not going to go in order because I've got to get like logged in. So instead of logging in, I'll just go ahead and register, show you some of the features. So here's my registration page. So people can pick, a username and, an email, of course, and then passwords. And then I'm gonna show you a couple things here. So I'm gonna just say, okay, the passwords don't match. I started implementing at the end there some like form validation. So it won't accept if it doesn't meet the criteria, obviously. So all right, we'll do an easy password here, super secure. Okay, so we just created a new user. So this is what it looks like, the homepage when you're logged in. So you'll have the username. Also notice the formatting here. So the username that I typed was all lowercase, but I did some inline formatting to make it look a little bit more presentable, which is really easy in Bootstrap of all places, actually. So if I have any favorites saved, it'll display here. So the whole point of this app is really just to be able to find stuff, right? So the search features are all kind of over here. One of the APIs I used was IP API. So if I click close to me, it will pull the lat long from my IP address and then display, a number of breweries that are close to that lat long. Now this is one of the other APIs. It's Open Brewery Database, OBDB. It's kind of a silly name, but it's got a huge repository brewery. So I can go through here and say, oh yeah, this one looks good. Rip Rap, it actually is good. So we'll add that favorite. O'Connor sucks, but we'll add that one too. Let's see, Big Ugly. That I should probably go there. I haven't checked that one out. Chesapeake. All right, so I just added a couple of favorites. So if I go back to the homepage, there. Did I not? Get logged back in here. Sorry. Okay, so if I go back to the homepage, I'll have my favorites, and then I can delete the favorites from here. I can go to my zip code where I'm at. There is no results in my zip code, so it's blank. I can go to my city, which is Norfolk, where I'm at, and add some more favorites. And go back and see the favorites on the splash screen here. Can re-delete them. Can also search by name. So I just saw Benchtop was on there. So here's Benchtop Brewing. Can add the favorites. It's worth noting that if you add a favorite that's already there, like so here's Benchtop, right? So let me go back here and add Benchtop again. It won't show up twice. It'll do some validation that it's already on your favorites list. So lastly, let's go. I've got a profile page here. So I can edit certain things here. This is another one of the credit demonstrations. So when I signed up, I didn't present all these options, but I can just change whatever I want here. This date established. This is the date that this particular user was actually created. So that's kind of a little established thing there. I can save the changes. So if I go back home and back to profile, you'll see the changes are still there. If I want to do password, actually don't remember what this password is, but that's fine. We'll figure it out. So if I want to do password, let's say password 123. Let's say I type it wrong. When I go to save, I started implementing some modals here to say, hey, your passwords don't match. Oh, okay, my bad. 123. We go to save. If you're trying to update your password, you got to do the current password. Okay, cool. So hopefully that's the right password. Save changes. It looks like it's saved. All right. So I can log out. If I try to log back in with the saved password, it's not going to log me in, right? See? So that just proves the password update worked. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you want to see.
That's fantastic. Do you have any hurdles that you had to overcome while conducting this?
Oh, no, everything worked perfectly the very first time for sure. So I did have a lot of hurdles, and I had like I came across hurdles that made me think about what I want to add to it and implement it later. Originally, my goal here was to have a little bit more social aspect to it. So like track, say if I can make like a splash page for this instead of just linking to the external to their actual place. I can make my own splash page where maybe users could leave comments or likes or whatnot. But that's actually a huge task, and so I kind of had to rescope down to make sure I hit all the wickets for the project grade. Another mention, specifically more of a hurdle, is so here's my models. My models started way too complicated, and so I really had to like reset and kind of dumb it back down. So I just have a user model that imports the abstract user, and then obviously I update and change some things to my liking. Then I have a brewery model. Then I have a third table here that basically just links these two together. But a big hurdle that took me a while is originally I had, see how these two fields here called brewery and user, I had them called brewery ID and user ID, but I don't know if it's Django or Postgres or what's causing this. But if I were to, like, for example, this brewery field, it's a foreign key to the ID of the brewery, right? But if I were to change this, if I put brewery ID like this in Postgres, it automatically adds this ID thing. So when I had it as brewery ID in Postgres, the table actually looked like this. And for a long time, like I couldn't talk to the tables correctly. And I even looked in Postgres and I totally didn't notice the second underscore ID thing. So that was a big hurdle. It took me a while to sort of get around.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and pause the recording.
Morning, I'm Terry Doyle, and this is my travel quiz application. First thing we'll do is sign someone up. All right, now that they're signed up, log them in. You can take a quiz if you're not logged in, but it will not give you your score results. Okay, we got that person in. Let's refresh. Username will show up down here. That means you're logged in. Before I get to the actual quiz part, I'm going to show you some stuff I took from my other API. This is a bunch of country info, so it brings in, and this will eventually become a quiz itself. This was just a stretch goal, but I'll display a country flag and ask the person to guess what country it is, etc. So all this is coming from, it's called sample APIs, country data. And then I could also search for any country, and the search bar works. I also bring in capital data. So this could also become a quiz where you ask the country and have someone guess the capital. But the main part of my quiz is quiz. So when I go to here, this is bringing in photos from the Unsplash API. This is my second API. And this, so it'll display photos when I have the member try to identify what it is based on the photo. And I can't control the photos, so they're going to be random photos every time. And these are just, there's thousands of photos on this site, so it's sometimes you're just going to get a boot walking on a railway and you're supposed to know what that is, but you could guess. But it makes it fun. So we'll get through this real fast. Okay, submit the score, refresh. All right, so I got a 5 on that one, which isn't that great. My answers that I guessed are recorded and my score is recorded. So I'm going to go back and show you. There's a toggle up here actually where you could do a country quiz as well. So then you got to guess what country this is. In the interest of time, I'll just, kind of fly through it here so we can get going. I'm not even really looking at the countries to refresh. There we go. So this is our last entry, last try. And now, let's say you wanted to impress your friends and you didn't want that 4 on there when you're showing them this awesome quiz site, then you could simply press the edit button and your score will change to 10. But to show you that, I'm going to show you we'll actually go into the database and show you those most recent ones. So here's the 4, here's the 5 that we just got. Now I want to change this 4 to a 10. So click on the edit button. So this is my second part of my CRUD. So now it's a 10. Congratulations. If you wanted to delete that score, so it's like the last 2 scores are 10 and 5. Want to delete those. And they're no longer in the database. The log out brings you back to the home screen. Log someone else in. Go to my scores page. You can see, I've taken a couple more quizzes. And that's the extent of my page. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.
All right, so being an absolute RuneScape nerd, one of the most annoying things I can do is have to search through the wiki for every single thing I want, especially GE prices. So I went ahead and created an application that basically does all that for you. So RuneScape Buddy, here we go. I'm currently logged out, so I'm gonna make a new account. Email at email.com, Jose, password is password because we're super secure. All right, cool. That means I succeeded. So I'm gonna go ahead and email at email.com, password, and I am in. So first thing I'm gonna do is accidentally crash because there's a bug right there that I've never been able to fix, but now we're good to go. So first things first, searching the GE search. So if I want to find like dragon items, see what kind of equipment's there, I type it in, I search. Takes a little bit because of how the API works, which I'll go into in a second. But boom, everything's dynamically coded based on today's GE price. So if it went up as compared to yesterday's price, it goes green and it shows fluctuation. If it doesn't change, stays 0, and if it goes down, it shows up red. All these I can add to favorites. That was already in my favorites. That was removed. But that's add to favorites, and I'll go ahead and add the dragon bidders to favorites. So that's the GE search. Going to the bestiary. This one again, I'll show more, but if I want to find every instance of a cow here in RuneScape, I go ahead and click, it pulls it all from its beast, pulls it all from the bestiary API, and then whenever I expand it, I actually have to send another request. Otherwise, I could have it all load at once, but it'd be something like 60 API requests to get everything in the list. So, little janky, but it was a better way rather than flooding their servers. Local timers, obviously I have a new account, so I don't have any timers. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and hit save timer. It is going to save successfully. I do not have live loading because I wasn't able to get that one to work, but it does save. Defaults at 000 with a default timer name. If I want to go ahead and update it, go ahead and put that. Maybe I want a 1 hour timer. Go ahead and save. It's going to be updated. Bada bing, bada boom, and we are right there at a 1 hour timer starting off. And then I don't want that timer anymore. It's deleted. And then bada bing, bada boom, she's gone. And then finally, my favorites. You saw I added the Dragon Axe and Dragon Bitter. So I'm going to go ahead and remove both of those because I actually don't care about those anymore. And there they are. So ideally, if there are items I was flipping on the GE, I could go ahead and favorite them. And then the next day, check my favorites and see what their prices are at the current day. So that is the functionality of my code. So I learned a lot going throughout. You can actually probably see the earlier implementations look or are usually a little dirtier than the later ones. But going through, honestly, the biggest learns I had was with CSS and Bootstrap, where especially since I'm bootstrapping a bunch of classes, it's kind of harder to grab a hold of them. So I have to be careful about what IDs I use and be very explicit in the ID form so I can make sure everything's styled properly, which is why I had the background with everything with the shaded gray backdrop and specific color. Yeah, honestly, I'll kind of leave it at that if there's any kind of questions about how things were implemented. Oh, there we go. The last thing was the Beast API, the real difficult part. So as you saw, when I loaded the beasts, they all showed up quickly with their labels and names, but all that came was their beast ID and their actual name. So Cal level 4. If I actually wanted to get all of its data, attack stats, stuff like that, it was a completely separate API that would require a completely different request. So that was a fun workaround. Any questions?
Is there anything you wish you would have done differently looking at your project now?
I wish I would have restarted with everything I learned over the past 2.5 weeks. Honestly, like that was my biggest takeaway. So it was, like I said, it was a great learning experience. React was difficult for me on assessment 4. I had to actually redo it. And then I learned a lot from doing the Pokédex a second time, and then implementing it a third time. I wish I had read more on use effects and just kind of gotten into actual nitty gritty of it, because as you saw with the timer and the favorites, I had issues on re-rendering whenever I clicked, and that's just because of how I started structuring my code early and then learn later on. But if I had gone back, it would have been significant refactoring. So I ran with it and went ahead. The other part is doing additional API research, so I knew exactly what I was getting into. I had to rescope with Nick about halfway through the project, because I realized implementing an entirely new another game's API would be honestly too labor intensive at that point, because I was already dealing with 3 to 4 just with this because of information having to go back and forth. But yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just curious, is the RuneScape fandom still living? Like, do people, you care, right? People care?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the top MMOs right now.
Yeah, they're still not. I have never seen it. Back when I used to play back in like 2008, 2009, I had never seen this break 10,000. It was at like 2,000 consistently, and that was about it. Then ever since they re-released the servers in 2013 from an old 2007 backup, it has gotten at least 50,000 people playing daily. I have yet to see it drop below 90,000 since I started playing a couple months ago. So it's massive right now.
Yeah, that is kind of nuts. That's people playing currently, like in real time. That's the
Currently real time, they are live.
That's nuts. I don't know why anyone cares, but cool. Happy for all our RuneScape brothers.
Don't attack me.
Sisters. I'm sorry. I know. I've never even played RuneScape. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's amazing.
Don't apologize if not sorry. I see you coming after us. It's fine.
All right. This is fantastic. Thank you so much.